what I love about each one of them is I see them practicing their religion and bringing their gift and purpose to the world in business, and they're completely congruent. And I know that there's some of you who have businesses and you may struggle with that. So right after this, I will introduce them and we'll find out how to love as a believer. Welcome to the Free to Be Show. I'm the world's best joy mongerer. Yes, I made that word up. I'm here holding space for you so that you can reveal your joy. I'm also a multi-award-winning author of 8 books, mother of 6 children, and a host of 2 podcasts. Here on the Free to Be Show, I engage you in conversations so that you can dive in and really notice whether or not you're free in your heart and your mind and your soul. So are you free? Let's see. And we're back. I'll first introduce my dear friend, Eva Arissani. Welcome to the Free to Be Show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Cordelia. It's wonderful to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Asiya, Othman, salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam. So good to be here. Thank you, Cordelia. And Eva, good to see you.
Glad to see you too, Asiya.
And Siawash, Zahmat. I think I destroyed your name of all of them. So, so thank you all for being here. What do you, like I said in the introduction, what I admire most about you is the way that you show up completely congruent in everything that you do. So for you, what is it to be a Christian in business and love as a believer, Eva?
Thank you very much for the question, Cordelia. First of all, I will start with, sorry, I can't see myself. Do you see me?
Yeah, I made it solo, so we only see you. So
Okay, because I really do not see myself. I don't know why. But if you see me, then it's fine.
yeah.
Did you see me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because on my screen it was black. It was
Yeah.
completely black. Okay. But it's fine. You can do it like that. It's okay. So yes, I was saying thank you so much for the question. I would start with, you have to do everything with love. You have in everything you do, you must find that source that is in you, and for me, it can be defined as living water. It's something that gives you that strength, that gives you that inspiration, that motivation every day to wake up in the morning and just be, in everything you do. As I am a mother of 3, so as a mother, as a wife, as an entrepreneur, because I work for myself, so I have my own company, and it's that knowledge, that understanding that I'm not alone. I'm never alone. In that, as long as I keep on building myself every single day, I will manage to unleash my true potential, because I believe that we are made in God's image. And if we all understand what it means, I think we will never have time to do anything bad or to hate other people or to be jealous, because we have enough. But the problem is, a lot of people think that we are limited. And because of that, well, there are a lot of evil around us and in the world. So I don't know if I don't remember the full question, but I hope I answered.
Yeah, what I'm hearing you say, Eva, that you absolutely answered the question, is that being like Christ for you is coming from a place of abundance and loving
Yes. Yes.
all of who you are and what you do. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Asiya, and for you as a Muslim, same question.
It's interesting because it kind of echoes or bounces off what Eva was saying already. But it's very much a lot of the principles around abundance, around really stepping into like the teachings of Islam. And what I mean by that is like really honesty, integrity, and really kind of coming from a place where it's not something like I don't see business and my faith separate, and anything that I do separate I see as an extension of me in all the versions of me. And so how I do business and how I show up for clients, a bit like Ava, I co-founded a company with Siawash, and whether it's in entrepreneurship, whether it's in coaching, leaders, whether it's in who I am as a mother to five, um, it doesn't change. That extension of Islam and explicitly being a Muslim doesn't is never taken away in all of those instances. And a lot of that comes from a place of love, but it also comes from a place of like intentional and conscious connection to my faith in all the versions of me. And so that's like really big, I think, as a pillar and also as an extension of who I am being in the world.
Thank you. And Siawash.
By the way, I was listening to Eva and actually just making notes while reflecting. Can you repeat your question again?
Yeah. What is it for you to show up as a believer in your business and loving as a believer? What does that mean to you?
Okay, such a great question. Yeah, the first thing that came up for me, I think you also introduced it when you introduced the show and us. You were talking about showing up congruent, right? And I've been in business now 6 years, almost 6 years. And to be honest, it was very challenging at the beginning, right? Showing up as a believer, because I had these thoughts, like, hey, am I gonna lose business if I'm fully myself, right? Are people gonna be turned off if I talk too much about religion? Because I got introduced to religion, to Islam in 2010, and for me everything changed. My whole life completely changed, and it went from not non-existence to becoming like the most important thing, right? Where
Yeah.
almost every choice I make is based on, is it in alignment with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in business, it was really interesting because I know that part of business, especially building in like a business as an entrepreneur around your personal brand, is really about who you are, right? And often
Yeah.
I was holding back and I wasn't really congruent. And the more we start doing that, the more the more we attracted people that are really like us. And then here's the beautiful thing, we get clients that are Jewish, that are Christian, that even clients that are atheists, but they connected to who we are being, because we got more in alignment with who we really are, right? And I'm not gonna say that it's always effortless. Sometimes I do, like, I think it comes back to like, slowing down and actually really connecting to like, hey, what is really important for me? Like, what do I want to share with people, right? But over the last 3 years, it's become more and more congruent and become more effortless, right? And then with love, I think, yeah, it comes back again to that. I think being really non-judgmental to whatever a person believes, right? And being loving towards them. And I think it's a beautiful way to actually open ourselves up to other people, because unfortunately, some parts of the world, there's conflict because of religion, right? And often people talk about this online, especially like, yeah, hey, if you're growing a business, you don't want to talk about two things. You don't want to talk about politics and you don't want to talk about religion, right? But I
Yeah.
think personally, it's allowed me to connect with people from different faith. It's allowed me to connect even with more Muslims because they feel really aligned with our message. Um, so yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, but not an easy one initially.
Yeah, I totally resonate with what you're saying, because similar to you, I also chose Islam. I wasn't born a Muslim. Well, I guess you were born a Muslim, but you decided, to choose Islam too. That can happen. um, and I had to decide, like, what is my true identity? Can I talk about the fact that I'm a Muslim, and and still do what I feel my purpose is in the world? And I feel like, just like you, the more that I have just been congruent, and I'm just like, look, this is what I believe, I'm attracting more people like me who they feel the conflict, and they hear the
Mm.
advice, if you will. Don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, right? And talking about both, because politics is super important. So we're going to move towards that next. But, talking about who you are, and, and how that affects who you're being in the world, that's part of your story, right? And that's part of your gift. So when we see atrocities happening, like in the pandemic, there have been just various different things. There have been a lot of race issues, there have been a lot of um, gender issues, and like, how do you not talk about that? you know so, Eva, specifically because outside of your main business, you also run a nonprofit that addresses some of the both political and gender issues in South Africa, because you work with young women. um, how have you been experiencing your business in that realm?
Well, it's very interesting that you asked that. I think for me, I do not differentiate how I do my, like you said, I have a non-profit organization, but I also have, my day-to-day business. All right. And I use the same principles that I apply in my daily life. And I think that it is difficult, irrespective of you are or where you work, to show up as who you really are sometimes, because you will be confronted to, for example, I'm sure that all of you have heard about the xenophobic attacks that happened in South Africa. It's very unfortunate because there has been a pike in xenophobic attack because, in line with politics, a lot of people in South Africa, natives, South African, think that all their problems, are there because of foreigners. And it is something, I don't know why they are thinking that way, but it is something that is, like increasing hatred among Africans, not just, hatred between Africans and Europeans. No, you will see attacks from South Africans to Zimbabweans or to other African countries. And at the end of the day, you ask yourself, but why? And I think that this goes together with what you said earlier. It has to do also, well, it's the same thing for me, as the differences that we make between religions. For example, now I'm sitting here, I'm a Christian, you are a Muslim. Does it mean that we are not the same? Does it mean that we do not have the same blood running through our veins? Does it mean that we cannot love the same way? For me, and now I'm talking as Eva Arissani, I'm not talking as just as a Christian, because I believe that being a Christian for me means that I accept God in my life, I accept His love, and I do not even think that we can even start to believe, to understand God. And I've come to realize that we tend to personify God because we give God human attributes. And because of that, then a lot of people will say, for example, no, we know the truth, you don't. We pray the right God, you don't. Yes, I pray Christ. I know why. Because I've been touched by what he did. I mean, he showed us how to love. And, recently I read something in the Bible while I was praying with my daughters the other night. And I saw a part that was talking about a miracle that he did. I don't know if you heard of the story of the woman who suffered for 12 years, I think. And she saw Jesus from far and she came and she just touched his robe, thinking, if only I could touch him, I'm sure I will be healed. And she did. And he asked, who touched me? And then she came and she said, I'm so sorry. I touched you because for me, I just needed to touch you to be healed from the suffering that I've been having for years. And he said, your faith has healed you. You see, that love, that combination of love and the knowledge that we have everything already in us, that's what touched me, you see. But if now you tell me that because I believe in Jesus, it means that my love is not the same for everyone, then I will say no. Because I believe that true love is tolerant. True love is accepting the other, irrespective of what your beliefs are. You see, that's how I see it, and that's how I show up. So, coming back to my nonprofit organization, it is difficult sometimes because people see you through different lenses. Sometimes they see you as a Black person. They don't see me as a human being, but as a Black person because I am Black. Sometimes they will see me as a Christian. Sometimes they will see me as a woman. Sometimes they will see me as, so depending on who is looking at you or who you are dealing with, they will see you through their own lenses. And I learn, and I keep on learning every day to show up with my principles. It means that I work on myself. Like physically, I go to the gym because I know that I have to work to make that body work. It means that spiritually, I have to read, I have to be inspired, I have to keep praying, I have to meditate and stuff. And what I do now in my profit organization is I teach what I do because it works for me. But at the same time, I'm open to learning, what others do and to build together. And that's how it works also in my other business. And I strive to do the right thing based on my own beliefs. And this is difficult because, for example, I like what Siawash and Asiya were saying. Sometimes, for example, when you do business with some people, they will come up with all sorts of ways of doing things. And sometimes, believe it or not, I have to say no because it goes against my own principles and my own beliefs. Sometimes it's a lot of money, and I will just say, I'm sorry, but no, because I just don't feel good. I know that this will not work. And it's a choice. But I think that in everything we do, as an entrepreneur, as a philanthropist, as a mother, everything, you have to make a choice based on your belief. But at the same time, I do not impose. Like Siawash was saying, I've got friends who are atheists. I don't even call them that way because I think that everyone believes in something. It's just that sometimes we do not know what we believe in, you see. So would you give them would you just let them go, or would you stop hanging out with them or talking to them because they do not believe in what you believe in? I say no. I think that by our own behavior, they will be inspired because someone who believes, it doesn't matter if it's a Christian or a Muslim, anyone who believes would behave a certain way and show up a certain way in society. And as you do, the people around you who see you will feel that no, this one, God is in her, because look at the things that she does, look at the things that happens in her life, look at the thing, you see. So I think it's really a matter of showing up the way you feel right, in everything you do.
Oh, I'm on mute. I was like, yeah, that was so beautiful. And that's what I love about, working with you with your nonprofit and just knowing you in general as a human being, you are very loving and very open and very true to everything you believe.
Thank
And we
you.
call each other sister,
Yes,
and
yes,
it's like,
yeah.
so we're not just sisters because, we have the same faith. We're sisters because we have the same blood. We're human.
No,
Like you said.
definitely. And Cordelia, I just want to add something quickly. I had a feedback from one of the shows. So I invited Cordelia on a show on my other platform for the nonprofit organization. And I got a lot of girls who told me that they were very inspired because they never saw a Christian and a Muslim together. And they told me it was so beautiful for them because it taught them that, we are one. And that to me, I didn't think about that when I invited Cordelia. I didn't invite her because she was a Muslim. I invited her because she is the emotional queen, like she knows what she does. She is amazing. She has a lot to give. So it's in that capacity that I invited her. But now look at what happened. It inspired many, many, and it went through different countries. I got a lot of feedback on that program and I was amazed. And I say, wow, thank God, because you see, I didn't even know that it would have that type of impact. So it is powerful.
Indeed. So, Siawash, I saw you making some gestures when she started speaking early on.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? We're kind of moving towards the like the political part of things going on. I know there's something similar that has happened in England, right? With was it Brexit? So you have something similar to what was happening in South Africa in the past couple of years. And your business has been flourishing. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. I haven't, to be honest, been. I like to keep myself out of that, but because I have a Dutch passport, right?
Oh.
So Brexit initially did affect me. My wife was scared that they were gonna send me back to the Netherlands. But yeah, Brexit affected people. People were, I think it was maybe for a few weeks or a few months. People became quite hostile towards foreigners here in the UK. Again, personally, I just like to, I'm aware of it, especially because it could affect us, right? It could affect our family. Thankfully, it didn't. It didn't affect my immediate family, but there was a lot going on. I think there were some. I think Asiya, you can probably help me with that, but I think there was one or two attacks as well in central London around that. Just just around that, and I think pandemic happened, right?
Right
Then the
after
pandemic
that.
happened. Yeah. And I think, more than anything, like I think the pandemic just really brought people together again. For us again, in terms of our business, we just take this service mindset. It's again just really being useful to people. Right. Yeah, I don't know, like if you have if you want me to talk about anything specific, but for us really in terms of our work, I think the more we've been able to step into really who we are, like I said earlier, the more we've been able to flourish. I love what Eva was saying earlier around abundance. I think society is very much, we're very much conditioned into thinking in terms of scarcity, especially as a believer. Like, we know that God provides for us, right? So we do the work, and then, in Islam there's a saying, right? Like, you tie your camel and then you put your trust in God. And I think it's such a beautiful saying, because it can actually, it directs us towards like doing the work, and then knowing that the result will come, right? The results provided by God. And there was a lot of, especially during the pandemic, I think there was a lot of fear and like, hey, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose business? Am I going to lose clients? Right? It was, I don't, it happened to us as well, and it was everywhere. We shifted very quickly again towards, I think, for me personally, like, faith, was such an important part of actually staying positive. And then also, like, actually stepping into leadership, servant leadership, right? Being there for others. And we focus a lot of our efforts actually away from sales and marketing and more on helping our clients. And as a result of that, more and more business start coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. So Asiya, feel free to chime in since you guys are business partners.
Yeah, I'm very much echoing what, like, the back of what Siawash was saying. To give you a bit more context, I do shut off from politics as well, but it's because I lived, breathed, and ate politics, and that was my profession before coaching. And so I still have a lot of friends in that field. I still have a lot of like acquaintances in that field. And so I saw like my feed would still tell me a lot of things that were happening in conversations that I would have with friends. Um, and very much kind of what Eva was saying, people, when bad things happen, the tendency is like, who do you blame? And I think that is very much pushed by different political agendas for whatever reason that season needs. But I think also it's, as leaders and as entrepreneurs and as people of faith, I think the biggest service we can do, and the reason why I personally moved away from politics and stepping away from that scene, was I realized, a bit like what Siawash was saying, that servant leadership needs a new level of consciousness. It requires a new level of being, and it requires you to really step into thinking differently about how can you show up and impact people in the world. And when you come from that place, the questions you ask are very different, and the answers you get are very different naturally. So, like for us, when Brexit was happening, when the pandemic hit, we didn't go into like, oh, what's happening in the world, and how can we chime in, right? Because that's what some people use, right, to be polarizing. We thought, like, actually, what can we do to contribute to the betterment of everyone who comes into contact with us and our clients and our communities? And I think that is, like, I think something Eva said earlier, is if you step into that, you naturally begin to attract those people. You naturally begin to see that actually there's a community wider that is deeper than the hate that's portrayed in the news, that is deeper than the disconnect that's portrayed in the news. It's suddenly not me against you, it's suddenly us against the world that wants to dictate hate. And I think that's such a beautiful way of looking at it, because that's really how our business grew, and that's why it's continued to grow. And more importantly, like, it's like our clients have grown. I think the biggest compliments we got in that time, when Brexit was happening, and then suddenly, like, it was a double whammy for the UK, right? People were like protesting against Brexit, for Brexit. Then suddenly there was talk on the pandemic. Then the NHS was crumbling. I actually gave birth at that time. So just as, like, lockdown happened. About 13 days later, I was in a hospital bed, isolated, suspected of COVID, giving birth. And it was such a crazy time because everyone was on edge. Like the whole world seemed to be on edge. And what I realized, and the reason why, our clients kind of came back to us and said, you guys have inspired us, is we just stepped into like service. We stepped into like using our faith, and being uncompromising in our faith that there is actually a bigger and higher power and goodness in the world, and accepting whoever came into our world. And I think like that really, requires a new level of just how you show up, and it touches others naturally.
Wow, thank you for sharing that story about your birth. I had no idea. I knew you recently had another child, but I didn't realize it was at the beginning of the pandemic. That's really amazing. So that's also a testament to what it is to have a faith, right? When you believe in something, it changes. Well, it supports you and anything you do and any event that occurs in life. And there's a word that came up when you guys were all speaking called about the way you're being and how that impacts the world. Now, I know that Asiya and Siawash have read the book of being the ultimate coach. And Eva, you are in the ultimate coach group in LinkedIn. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you had a chance to read the book though, because I think it was just available in South Africa recently. Did you get a copy?
Yes, not yet. I'm still about to get it. I can't wait.
Okay. It's on audio too. So I don't know if you've
Okay.
had a chance to. Yeah, I'll send you the link for that. So that's like.
I think you did. I will check it out. But I think you did send me the link.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just I was still reading another book, so
okay.
I wanted to finish that one.
That happens.
But yes. Yeah, no. But I can't wait to read it. And I see the how people are connecting in the group. It's very interactive, very interesting. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to get the book.
Yeah. Because of the book, the good news is I was able to finally meet Siawash in person. Yeah, you came out to Arizona. I still haven't met Asiya, and I'm not coming to London because it's, that's like Eid weekend. I can't travel. Well, I could. I'd have to bring my entire family, so that would be like, a lot. But I'm bringing that up really because two things. Steve Hardison texted me because he was like, I can't get in. I want to see, I want to be part of the discussion. I'm like, well, I'm a little bit delayed, so you're going to have to watch the recording. And the other thing is, adding, I would say it's adding for me anyway. And all of you, take your turns however you want and speak to this. But like, that's what really helped me be more congruent. I was really looking at who I was being. And so I just stepped more into sharing my stories, as a Muslim, and what that looks like inside the community, outside the community, and also how we can be different and change the collective consciousness, which is the whole premise of the Free to Be show, right? Because I believe that if you collectively believe something, you can change the status quo. People believe that they have to go for Brexit or against it, or for xenophobia or against it, but there's another way. You can believe what what's in your heart and whatever's true for you, and you can live that life, and you just find your tribe, like I did, all of you and all of my guests that I've ever had on the show, who want to move towards moving that paradigm and changing the collective consciousness towards just love and joy.
Yes, no, and I think that's beautiful. And it's amazing it's interesting to see how COVID gathered us, but in a way, it also kind of destroyed us a little bit. I think it's like the opposites attract, but it's just the way I see it, because you see, the same way everyone was together, because it's like we were all fighting against that evil thing that came in, on earth, and we don't know where it's coming from, and everyone is like, how we will survive. And for a moment, because we were all confined, and we were all looking for a little bit of warmth from everyone, so we find comfort through internet, through Facebook and everything, and we became like one. But at the same time, we are so divided at the moment, because when you look around the world, it's like there is a pike in extremism, like in seeing the differences rather than seeing what put us together, and this is very sad, because I don't do politics in general, because I find it very for me, because I'm very emotional, I find it sometimes too rough, for me. But like I see, for example, now the elections in France, do you see the two main persons now on the lead? So you have someone a little bit in the center, and then you have someone who is completely in the right. And that means that there is a division in France now. You see, the people who want maybe a little bit more of only nationalism, and others who need more of, like like a gathering of different groups, different political groups. But it shows that there is a division. Even in the United States, Cordelia, you are in the United States, we hear of what is happening, when like how Black people are being ostracized, and they are scared for their lives. And it's not just there. I think it's everywhere in the world. Where is that coming from? It's like if by being scared of COVID, and by being separated from one another, then something was broken as well. Or maybe it was there, but it was like covered. It was, I don't know, I do not understand. But it's very sad, because I also believe, like you, that by changing our perspective and the way we look at things, we can really achieve a lot. And I like what Asiya and Siawash said about business, because that's also how I do my business. I believe that by being a servant leader, so it means that I look at how I can serve you. But literally, how do I serve you? How can I serve you? So I offer translation services, right? So when you come to me, I look for the best way to do your translations. I will advise you on things that you should do as well. I will also try to accommodate you the best way I can. Sometimes people tell me, but you do so much and you do not charge that much. And I said, because I want to keep you in my network. I want you to come back to me. And because I understand the power of networking, a client that is happy will bring you 100 more clients. Rather than if you try to get one client and you make a fortune out of that client, then you will lose that client in the long run, because you are being too expensive and you are just being selfish as well. So there as well, if every one of us was using those principles in everything they do, I think the world will be different. I really do.
Go ahead, Siawash.
Um, yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting conversation. I think for me, whether it's religion, whether it's business, I think if we want to create change in the world, often we focus first on what do we need to do and what do we need to say, right? What do I say to inspire this person? What do I say to create change. And I think, I've seen over the years that, while that with the right person, sometimes you can say the right thing, right? But more than what we say and what we do is like who we're being, is that really shifts people, right? And I've wrote a few things down that like when we are loving, right? Or when we're being loving, like our doing naturally becomes more loving, right? When we're more present with people, they feel that connection rather than, coming with an agenda. So, those things like being gentle, being kind, being present. And for me, you talked earlier about Steve Hardison, right? I met him in January and spent a few hours with him in his office. And, it inspired me, to even step up more in terms of like, being that person. Because for me, like he reminded me of the description that I also have of Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? Is that character. And I think that's what ultimately is that who we're being through character that really like has the most impact on the world around us. And I think it starts with that. I think there's a beautiful saying. I don't know if it's attributed to, some people say it's attributed to Gandhi and some people say different people, right? That that if you want to change the world, you have to start with your country. You want to change your country, you have to start with your city. You want to change your city, start with your own, for example, your own street, and then it goes back to start with your own house, right? And if you want to change your families, you have to start with yourself. And I think that's where everything shifts. What when we shift who we're being naturally, we have an impact on others through that being. And there's so many stories, right? We see this in every religion, and I know in the Islamic faith, there's so many stories that of people that accepted that, the Islamic faith just because of who Muhammad was being in that time. So that's, I think, that's where really I think the big change happens, right? And for some people, maybe then maybe you're listening to this and you're not getting this this idea of like what we're talking about, who you're being is. I think it's just focusing really more on, we choose who we're being, right? It's kind of like we have the external things, and I think they're also important. It's not just about sitting on the sofa and being all loving, right? That's not going to change the world. But
No.
it's not just focusing on the external things like, hey, what do I need to do, what campaign do I need to run, or what, in whether it's business or whether it's trying to change the community, right? It starts always with us, and then every interaction from that, and I think that's for me like it's impacted my business significantly, but also my relationship with my wife has been impacted significantly. I've bought so many relationship books, right, trying to improve my relationship, but I realized that I don't need to do that. I just need to be more loving. I need to be more present, right? I need to be a better, all of that. It's already there, and I think that's what I'm seeing more and more of here, is that it ultimately comes back to whatever we need is already there. It's almost like we need to all go home, right? We all have that. We're all whole. None of us is really like broken, right? We have what we need inside already. And when we can actually come from that place, we can help others tap into that.
Yeah. And something that really came up is you both, Ava and Siawash, were were speaking, and as Cordelia kind of talked about being, um, my life has just been transformed by stepping into being. And I've shared a lot about this like online, but it's more than like the outer transformation has been great. It's really elevated how I am in the world. But also it's really got me to step in. I love what Sawash said about going home. I almost felt like, and I said this when I read the book, um, The Ultimate Coach the first time, it was like being a child again, right? It was just going back to that space of of possibility of like loving it. You know, if I have loads of children, like ranging from you know, preteens to like nearly a 2 year old. And if you see them like when they're very young, they're very accepting, right? They're very loving. Like I used to have to like run around my little daughter because she just used to go up to everyone and wanted to have conversations and love everyone. She, like, you know, to the point where the Sainsbury guy, security guy, knew us, and she'd go in and shake his hand, and she was just loving to everyone. But it was that thing as like we've then grown up in a sense and decided to form and shape ourselves because society has said that this is acceptable and this isn't acceptable. And when you come into being, you let go of the old way and you allow the real way of you. Like it's almost like taking off the mask and just recognizing everything you've suppressed that is your highest purpose. Everything that is, you know, divine and godly within you, and that gets you to honor yourself, honor your commitments. It gets you into being in integrity. It gets you to really speaking only what you intend and that is good in the world. It gets you to understand that actually there is nothing else if it isn't built on love. um, and also it gets you to step into being fun. I love like the joy monger, the term. But you know, that's what it is. Like, you know, being gets you to step into that fun and joy. And also like obviously I'm very evidently Muslim.
No way. You're a nun that had kids, isn't it?
But it's also accepting that being spiritual and religious can be your North Star with everything you do. And that's such a beautiful way of being, because now I'm like, yeah, I am Muslim. I live by the faith of like you know, those, that faith and those principles. And it's interesting because if you've read The Ultimate Coach, Steve talks a lot about Christianity, right? And but how do you resonate with that? And I think that was when it hit that actually it's the spirituality element. It's the fact that I feel like those principles are universal.
Yeah.
And actually, if we look at whether it's, you know, Jesus, whether it's, you know, Abraham, whether it's, you know, Muhammad, peace be upon him, like if you look at any of the prophets and who we subscribe to, they all have the same characteristics. They all have the same personality traits. They all come from that loving, encompassing element of everything I just talked about. And that's what we desire, like at the root.
You know, it's funny, like as you were saying, it brings you back to your joy. You like the joy monger thing. I started doing cartwheels again, just like purely because I wanted to see if I could, you know, like I told my kids, I was like, you know what's wrong with you? You don't know how to be spontaneous. Let's do cartwheels. They're like, Mom, please, you know, like my youngest is 7, my oldest is 21. And I'm like, come on, I'll show you how to do a cartwheel. They're like, you don't know how to do a cartwheel. I was like, really? So I did like 3 in a row and they were like, so now I do cartwheels like everywhere I go, and it shifts my energy. And, you know, like as I'm listening to all of you, I wrote this article like 3 years ago, I think, on LinkedIn about the, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of self-actualization. And I was talking about how it's a myth, right? So I would say after you get your basic requirements taken care of, right? The food, taking care of your body, eating the right things, exercise, sleep, right? Then you have your faith, whatever that is, right? You're atheist, you're Buddhist, you're Christian, Muslim. And then you have your way of being, and that's self-actualization, you know? But the thing of it is, many people, they they don't know what their values are. And I think that's what having a faith, whatever you call it, I'm not saying you have to be Christian or Muslim, however, whatever works for you, that's, knowing what your personal values are outside of your family, your community, or what you've been conditioned to believe will help you to choose to do cartwheels if that's what lights you up, or roll down hills, which is something else I do, if that's what lights you up, and reveal your joy, because that's coming home to you. That's who you truly are, and even when I talk about my diversity, equity, and inclusion with women and being a stand, for Black women in the professional space, it's always about coming home, and the coming home is the self-awareness. And so that's what I'm hearing all of you say. And all of us ultimately, with our values and our way of being, are moving towards changing the collective consciousness through our businesses, which are our purpose.
Yeah. I love what you said. And when I coach the girls that I coach, or the women that I coach through She Phoenix, Femme Phoenix, my nonprofit organization, I tell them that it all starts here and then here. It's all about, I like what's his name again? I forgot his name. No, I can't think of his name, and I love him. He's Indian, of Indian origin. Robin Sharma, yes. I love what he says when he talks about the heart set, the soul set, the mindset, and the health set. Because I believe that a lot happens through our heart set. And you were earlier talking about, how you go back to when you were young and you can feel young again. But you cannot do it until you've healed all your emotional wounds. And I think that nowadays, a lot of people are suffering because of what happened in the past, and they do not realize that they are limited in every aspect of their life because of what happened in the past, because of the wounds that they have, and because it is in their heart, and because they are scared of going back. So being you, or getting to being you, means also being brave, to face your demons, because these are demons that are coming up. Whenever you are trying to see the light, they will come and say, where are you going? I'm still here. You think you can get away from me? I will be here until you chase me away. And I think that's what is causing so much trouble in relationships, in business, because you've got office politics. Where is the office politics coming from? Why do we even need office politics? Now I'm talking about those who have normal work, because I'm an entrepreneur, so I do not do 9 to 5 works. I do some other kinds of work, and I know Siawash and Asiya know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it will be longer hours, but at least I'm in charge. You see what I mean? And I'm enjoying what I do. So I think it depends on how we accept to make peace with whatever happened and to heal inside. And then, as the healing starts, we discover who we are. And we are not scared of showing up, as who we are. So I think it happens in layers. And as we grow, there's a different layer, And now, even now, as I'm so happy to be me. I'm so happy to have gone through everything I've gone through, because I don't think I would be who I am today. I don't think I would have met Cordelia, Gaffar, or I would have met you, Siawash and Asiya, if it was not for every single thing I went through, good or bad. And that's also part of the mindset, the heart set, the soul set, because it's all it all depends on the perspective that we have. And if we see things differently, if we deconstruct things and we try to see, how am I going to grow out of this? Or I like what Les Brown says, he doesn't say I'm having a bad day. He says I'm having a character building day. If you see things that way.
I thought I created that phrase. Really? He stole it from me. No, I'm just kidding.
But I love it, because it's such a great way, different way of looking at, difficult days, because we all have days like that. But if you think of it, like something happens and you say, oh, man, now, okay, I'm going to learn so much today. Like, really?
Yes.
Or, or you're like, God, really? So you thought of me today, and you thought that Eva has to go through this to learn something. Isn't there an easiest way for me to learn? I have to suffer a little bit, But you see, if you put a little bit of fun, a little bit of, it's just, you look for, your silver lining, but with fun, with knowing that at the end of the day, you will grow. You would have learned something. You would have helped someone. You would have showed up for someone. And then you discover love. And then you reap what you sow. You really do at the end of the day. And knowing that life is made of ups and downs. That's just how life is. Even if you are a
100%.
saint, you will still go through difficult things in life.
And
So,
we are all saints.
yeah.
So, we are purified on every minute. So, we're going to have to close the show actually, because I think that Siawash and Asiya are about to break fast. Is that right?
Okay. Yes, I
Yeah,
understand.
the time is coming close.
That's what I thought. I was like, oops. Yeah. So it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon for me, so I don't have to break fast for hours. But anyway, to really honor my guests, I love everything you said, Eva, and this has been a beautiful conversation. I love to close out with one word that you would say was the golden word, and then we finish. And you feel free to leave after you say your word if you need. Okay? So Ash, go ahead.
One word. Can you not make it one sentence? One word
This is
for
character building.
Yeah. For me, I think it's it's in the title. It's love. Yeah.
Thank you. Asiya.
Oh, I don't do one word. But if I had to pick something, it would be it's still not one word, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say uncompromising acceptance. It's kind of what comes up. I was trying to say that in one word, and it wasn't
Uncompromising acceptance, unapologetic. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow, that's difficult. I would say it's difficult, Cordelia. One word. Okay, I think I would say faith, because I think that everything is around faith, and in faith you would have love and everything. So I would say faith. Yeah.
Thank you. I would say bravery. That's the word I thought you were going to say, Eva, because you said that earlier.
Yeah, I know. But no, you see, you said one word.
So now we're all on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. No, but yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Asiya, thank you, and nice meeting you. I will look for you on Facebook. Same, Siawash, and enjoy your evening. And thank you so much, Cordelia. Thank you. God bless you all.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Cordelia. I think it's been a great conversation, and I think one that isn't
beautiful.
Had enough, yeah, really beautiful though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for those of you watching and listening, share this with another heart and share this with another soul, and allow yourself to be free. Until next week.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Now, take the time to reflect, introspect, and implement at least one action. Be in your body, be in your soul, be in your spirit. Be free. Until next week.